We are getting by with a little help from our friends. That means the crew is here, and this is Implicit Bias Radio. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon, and it is time for us to put up or shut up on the conversation we've heard at pretty much every family gathering, every corner bar, every fun uncle. It is time for Implicit Bias Radio. And yes, we are here with friends, but not just any friends. The type of friendship that is actually grounded in true biblical principle. Friendships that stand the test of time, that nurture our faith, our virtue, and our character. Now, the Bible is rich with guidance on the value of true friendship, and understanding and embracing these teachings can transform not just our lives, but really the spirit of our entire community. What we're talking about is a truth that is as old as Scripture itself. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. You might remember that from Proverbs. These words remind us that friendship is not merely a social convenience, but a lifeline, especially in times of challenge. In ancient days, friendship was actually considered a covenant, an unbreakable bond. Today, as we navigate a world often marked by fleeting relationships and transactional interactions, not true brotherhood or sisterhood. Today, too often, we say, oh, they're a friend, like our coworkers. Many of us spend our days surrounded by colleagues in professional settings. And while teamwork is essential and we can certainly find companions in the workplace, we have to recognize a hard truth. Corporate relationships are, all too often, by their nature, built on shifting sands. They can be driven by ambition, competition, and self-interest. The story actually in Joseph, the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat in Genesis, is a powerful warning. His own brothers, driven by jealousy and desire for personal advancement, sold him into slavery. In their corporate world, we may not face literal bondage, but betrayal can come in the form of backstabbing, gossip, the undermining of character for personal gain. The book of Psalms even warns us, even my close friend in whom I trusted, whom I ate bread, has lifted his heel against me. This was King David's lament, and it echoes the reality that not every friendship is founded on loyalty or love. In too many spheres of our lives, relationships can be transactional. Here today, gone tomorrow. Determined by promotions, profits, or shifting organizational wins. We must be wise as serpents and innocent as doves, discerning where to place our trust. So what sets apart the friendships we're called to build? True biblical friends are those who walk with us in faith. Proverbs actually says iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another. Our friends, they should help us become better, not just more successful. They encourage us to grow in virtue, in pursuit of what is right, what stands firm in our beliefs, even when the world sways. Paul instructed the church to encourage one another and build each other up. That's the essence of a godly friendship. Mutual encouragement, shared burdens, and a commitment to one another's spiritual flourishings. So let's also remember the example of Jonathan and David, whose friendship is described in Samuel. Despite personal risk, Jonathan stood by David, protected him, and spoke truth into his life. Their friendship was rooted in covenant and shared in faith in God, in the purpose. Each of us should aspire to be a Jonathan for someone else, to champion goodness, to support others through trials, and rejoice in their victories as if they were ours. As a community, we're actually called to be more than just neighbors. We're called to be brothers and sisters. We should cultivate friendships. We should nurture faith, inspire virtue, and develop character. Don't be fooled by the false promise of superficial or self-serving relationships, especially those that may arise in environments driven by competition and ambition. Instead, seek companions who will hold us accountable, pray with us, push us towards the high calling that God has placed on all of our lives. This week, Implicit Bias is going to challenge you to do just that. It's going to be a challenge to invest in true friendship, to reach out, to build trust, and most of all, let Christ be the glue that binds us together. Above all, we should love one another earnestly, since love covers a multitude of sins. Love. Love actually covers all of our implicit bias. Don't miss this week's show. We're keeping it Catholic with Father Taj Glaude. We've got true unobtainium in the Mr. Lester's TSPL. We'll help you find some of the good stuff at Mr. Lester's. We'll help you find your implicit bias. Welcome back to Implicit Bias Radio. It is time for some weekly whiskey. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. That means it's time to introduce you to the crew that we have here in the Mr. Lester's TSPL. That's the top secret podcast lair for the uninitiated. We are so thrilled to have a special guest back here in the lair because it's been way too long since he's been here. He has gone by multiple nicknames. He's been known by many things. In my home, he's known as the Liquor Fairy. Here, he's known as Big Whiskey. Why is he known as the Liquor Fairy? Because he's that friend. He is the friend that when he has the code or the key to your house, he drives through town and you go to look at your kitchen table and you're like, where'd all the liquor come from? It's beautiful. And then we sample it on the show and we do it. It is fantastic to have Kenny Michael, Big Whiskey, back here in the Mr. Lester's TSPL. He's at the bar. Kenny, it's a little different really since the last time you were here. I don't know if you've been here since we did this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was here at the bar with this setup before.
Okay.
Although I don't remember the quite the stag behind you.
George T.
Yeah, George T.
Yeah.
Behind you. You look quite horny over there.
That was good.
That is very well played. Ring the bell. Ring the bell. Kenny bringing fire in the first segment where he starts talking. This is why we have Big Whiskey on the show. Sitting next to him is the man who's going to be responsible for keeping us Catholic on this show. He is Father Taj Glaude, who appeared to have a fantastic time at Implicit Birthday last weekend, hopefully.
Actually, I would say that is putting it mildly.
Good.
I had a blast.
Outstanding. What was your favorite whiskey that you got to taste?
I'm actually kind of torn between the Senator and the Presidential.
Okay, so the Senator is available. That was a New News pick, one of our Implicit Bias Liquor Collective partners.
Yes.
You can buy that at any New News, which makes it that wonderful, right? And it is really, 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 really good.
Oh, yes. I almost asked if you had an extra bottle to spare.
Well, we know where you can find one. Just go to the Implicit Bias Liquor Collective New News Market in Youngsville, Scott, Milton, Maurice. You can grab those bottles there, as well as some of the others we're going to talk about here on the show in just a minute. The Rustic Renegade is here with us. And Caleb, you and I are apparently on the same haircut schedule.
It just worked out really well. I needed my ears lowered horribly.
You and me both needed it done before Implicit Birthday. Didn't get to it.
Yeah, same here.
And finally was able to get it done. All-American Barbering taking care of me. It was good to see Nick Duplessis.
I saw him first thing this morning at 8 a.m.
Okay, I saw him yesterday.
See, that's what I like is...
You're right.
Wait, what's that?
I wasn't going to say anything Saturday, but you're right.
Yeah. We need
I looked
haircuts.
bad. It looked rough. And that's one of my favorite things about him is I can get there at 8 a.m.
I'm just glad that the Rustic Renegade is back, not the missing additional member of the Backstreet Boys who's been sitting in on shows for the last few
I'm still
weeks.
going to wear that ensemble. I like the way it worked out, you know. It's just this is much more comfortable.
Oh, I get it. I absolutely understand it. And that, Caleb, as much as I hate to say it, that's you.
Yeah, you know, and the problem with the other outfit is when I wear those tight pants, I just can't keep my wife's hands and eyes off of me. So it's not really a problem.
Sure. Anyway, let's go to the bar and let's talk about the first whiskey that we are starting off with this week on Implicit Bias Radio in our weekly whiskey segment. Kenny, you actually brought this to Implicit Birthday. For those who don't know who you are and what you do, Kenny Michael is the Louisiana rep for Deutsch Family Wine and Spirits, which means all Redemption whiskeys, which means all Bibb and Tucker, all Mastersons. And then, of course, you've got wine labels too, like Josh, which almost everybody knows. You've got it all. And you brought in some Bibb and Tucker that not a lot of people see on the shelves. It's not unobtainium.
Right.
But it's also not everywhere.
So I will say this. I used to joke and be able to joke that we had the best spirits portfolio you've never heard of. I can't joke like that anymore because Redemption has made a big name for itself. Bibb and Tucker has become quite a cult following in the whiskey world, and it's starting to make, like, Forbes is starting to talk about it and put it in its magazine unpaid. Like, that is not something we seek out. It's getting a lot of accolades and a lot of kudos right now. Bibb and Tucker is a gem, but it's not a well kept secret anymore. This particular, what we have tonight, is a sneak peek because it's not available yet.
Well, I actually heard a lot of people talk about this very specific whiskey. Everybody at the event was like, man, I tried the coffee whiskey. And I'm like, oh, I know what that is.
Yeah.
And everybody came away raving about it. So I'm glad that we got a sneak peek there, and we're getting a sneak peek on Implicit Bias Radio.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny. 2 years ago at Implicit Birthday, at the first time, it was at the Grouse Room.
Yes.
I actually did a sneak peek of the Bibb and Tucker Double Char before it hit the market here, and everybody went crazy for that one and was ready to buy it when it hit the market. Same thing happened this year. I sneak peeked this. It's not going to be landing in Louisiana for another 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay.
But it will sell out, even though we've got a good number of cases coming. It's going to sell out quickly. It is an everyday item, so it's not like when it's gone, it's gone. We will keep it rolling. It's a line extension. Bibb and Tucker, for those who don't know, is a 6-year-old Tennessee bourbon. It does go through the Lincoln County process of charcoal filtration, so technically it's a Tennessee whiskey.
Okay.
But we lean into the bourbon because all Tennessee whiskey meets the qualifications of bourbons first. Tennessee just has that one added step to be called a Tennessee whiskey. This is our 6-year-old. Everything starts with our 6-year-old classic. What's cool about this is coffee and whiskey have gone together forever.
And this is called, for those that don't know the actual name, this is called Golden Roast.
It's called Gold Roast.
Roast.
Bibb and Tucker Gold Roast. So what we do is our master blender worked with a local Tennessee roaster. They worked on a proprietary custom blend for this product. So basically, long story short, and the cool part about how it works, and people in Louisiana understand cold brew because we love cold brew here.
Yeah.
We do a lot of cold brew. We only have cold brew at our house. So this is similar to a cold brew process where we take our 6-year-old, Bibb and Tucker Classic 6. We have this custom blend of Arabica coffee beans that are Honduran coffee beans that this Tennessee roaster puts this custom blend together for us. They roast them. And then what we do is we have a selection of our cask strength barrels of Bibb and Tucker. And we basically, for a lack of a better term, we do a cold brew with the coffee beans in those cask strength barrels. And we let it steep like that for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then when we're doing our blend, we dump those barrels into the blend for our larger blend to bottle.
Okay.
So it's a really kind of a cool process. It doesn't go into every barrel.
So it sounds like you almost get a whiskey coffee concentrate. So it's like a cold brew concentrate, and then it goes into the blend to create Gold Roast.
In a sense. The biggest difference between cold brew and this is typically when you do a cold brew, it's ground.
Yep.
It's ground coffee. These
This
are
is just
whole
beans.
roasted coffee beans. And so it's a really cool process. The flavor profile on this that we could talk about, you'll get some molasses, you'll get some chocolate, you certainly get the coffee. And then, as we've been kind of talking about offline, there's some other flavors that are kind of cool and not necessarily mentioned in our descriptors.
Well, the funny part is you say some of those, and I'm like, the chocolate, I absolutely get.
Right.
This, to me, it almost has a chocolatey mouthfeel
Yes,
as opposed to tasting like chocolate.
exactly.
I've got heavy coffee on the tail end, right? Some of the flavors that we talked about, I got on the first sip. I don't get them as much as I get a little bit into the glass.
Yeah.
But there are still some things there. I want to incorporate the rest of the crew here as we kind of dive into this. I'm curious, Father Taj, what do you get off of this one? What do you think of this Bibb and Tucker Gold Roast that is coffee whiskey?
At first, I was kind of standoffish because not really too used to having coffee and whiskey mix. But after having tried it, it's not bad at all. I did taste some spice,
Okay.
both on the nose and on the tongue at the beginning. But the coffee doesn't come, like you said, until the tail end. So it's I would say it's definitely one to experience, so to speak.
Yeah, no, it's very different from what a lot of people would expect when they open a bottle of bourbon, open a bottle of whiskey. It's not, this is not going to be a run of the mill. This is not going to be like anything you've ever tasted before. This to me is very, very unique. And when you say complexity on the palate, the levels with this are deep. There's a lot to it. There's a lot going on. And especially if you are not a hardcore whiskey drinker, this is one that the rabbit hole could get deep for you, because this could start someone off with a flavor and they go, oh, I like this. Maybe I really like whiskey. And then they start finding all those other flavors that they like.
And especially as a priest, I like things complex. I like to be complicated.
Yeah. Well, let's just say that, you know, rising from the dead is not really straightforward. So you dealing with what we is essentially have as the major tenet of our faith, it's got to be complex, right? Of course. Caleb, here we go.
Yep. So on the nose, I thought it was powdered cayenne. It's not. This is tahini. It's tahini on the nose, followed by coffee and then a powdered chocolate. On the palate, I get tahini.
Okay.
Like a spicy margarita, something like that, heavy tahini, followed by spice, salt, mocha, but it's not just regular mocha. When I was young, my grandmother and my aunt really, when I would go to her house, she
Here we
had these
go.
little metal tins with coffee, and they had like a white little plastic lid that would
They
pop
were
off of them.
rusted around the edges.
They always were,
If it's not rusted around the edges, it doesn't taste the
and
same.
it was an instant coffee, and she would mix it. And I was trying to put pen to paper, figure out what it is, and look, Kavan, I'm 99% sure you were right, and it's Sanka.
That's the name that popped into my
Yep.
head when you said instant coffee, and I went, oh. And I was not a coffee drinker back when Sanka was a thing.
Well, it would have stunted your growth.
Well, I mean, that would explain that I would be
Yeah.
a coffee drinker, right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. So I just said I wasn't. I didn't need any help stunning my own growth.
So and then I get like, you ever had a
Well played, by the way.
Yeah. They did like jalapeno chocolates or spicy chocolates.
Yeah.
I get that kind of chocolate at the end
Yep.
of it, and then I get the coffee, like the heavy coffee, and I figured out what it is because I enjoy my morning coffee. I like a dark roast, and I really enjoy an Arabica bean because the Arabica beans will have a rich, complex flavor. They're not overly caffeinated. You can drink it throughout the day, and you get hints of milk chocolate. So that's the bean I'm pretty sure that they use when they do this. Be willing to bet you money it's an Arabica bean.
I'm pretty sure I said that.
Yeah,
in
he
my-
did.
in my description.
Yeah.
Caleb's
well, there
like,
you go.
I'm pretty sure my palate
Yeah,
picked this
yeah.
up, but the fact
No,
that
it
Kenny
did. I
said
wrote
this
it down
5 minutes ago.
No, I wrote it down before he said it. So
Sure
I just
you
tuned
did.
him out. It's a gift that I have.
Okay. So I will tell you, Kenny, when you said chocolate, this is what jumped out at me. Took the family to Mexico several years ago. We brought back some Mexican drinking chocolate. And it's not overly sweet. And they say you can mix it with water, you can mix it with milk, right? I wanted to try just what it tasted like with water. It is not a sweet chocolate. It is, the only way I can explain it, it is like almost like Caleb said, where it was almost like cocoa powder
It's almost
that you
dry.
get. Yeah, it's almost a dry chocolate that you get. And that is, I get that heavily. And then I get that coffee on the back of the palate, which look, the wife and I will wake up in the morning and drink 2 pots of coffee and we drink it straight. I mean, there's no cream, there's no sugar. That is how we do coffee throughout the morning. So when I taste this, I'm like, yes, maybe I just need to drink this instead of coffee in the morning and maybe days will be better. That's a whole different story. We don't advocate that. Be responsible. The pepper that I got on the first sip was jalapeno. I got jalapeno on this. I got that jalapeno flavor less than the heat or more than the heat. And what I found is that I've started to have a little bit more of the glass. It has absolutely mellowed.
Yeah. That's what I was about to ask, because the same thing for me. Like all the flavors, the jalapeno or pepper flavors that we talked about in the beginning, I barely get it all now, and I'm getting a whole lot more of the chocolate
Yes.
now.
Something that we should probably clarify too is when we're saying jalapeno, we don't mean pickled jalapenos.
No.
This is
Raw.
like
Raw jalapeno.
yes, like a fresh jalapeno. I know there's a lot of people out there. The only time they've had a jalapeno is from a jar. You're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah. No, the jalapeno that I got off of this was fresh chopped jalapeno like you get in guacamole. I mean, it was where it hit me on the palate. But to your point, Kenny, it's mellowed so much as the glass has opened it up and we've had that opportunity. And the proof on this,
gotta
I
be
think
low.
92, I think is what you said.
92.
92.
92.
All right.
Again, another perfect example of a whiskey that for a newbie, for someone who's new to whiskey and someone who says, maybe I don't necessarily like. So if you've got that person in your life who's like, oh, I don't drink whiskey. I drink vodka cocktails, but I want something a little more savory. You could almost just put this over a large single ice sphere.
I
Get
bet
a
you this
little-
would be delicious.
Get a
kinda
little bit
chill.
of weep going in that glass and just be absolutely fantastic.
If you got one of the many brands or a few brands of Mole bitters out there, and
Yeah.
just this with a little dot of Mole bitters, you could. That's a cocktail in and of itself.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, which brought me to where I was about to go next with this, which is you make an old fashioned out of this.
Yeah.
You would almost get, because a lot of people they've got coffee bitters.
Yeah.
And they'll use coffee bitters. You wouldn't need the coffee bitters. You could use something to brighten it up a little bit. You could go with a little Peychaud's bitters or something like that and really just have a deep, complex, almost get a smoked old-fashioned flavor without having to smoke it because you've got that roast from the coffee built into it.
I would almost put this on top of a scoop of ice cream. Like I just,
I don't disagree with you. I think you absolutely
it's
could.
got so much potential. I think there's so many ways you can use
Right.
this flavor profile.
It'd be a whiskey affogato.
And you'd have 2 or 3 of them. You definitely with Fagotto. So one of the things I had today was this with a little bit of ice and an expressed lemon peel
Oh, yeah.
on it, like you would do in an espresso.
Yeah.
And it was phenomenal.
I would bet. I would absolutely put money on that. Okay, Tug, how we doing on time? I'm checking because, now you're telling me we got 1 minute? All right, now we're going to go long because he's not like Walker. He doesn't know when to give me the finger. So let's do this. We're going to go ahead around the room. We're going to rate this on the Morse Whiskey rating code. Is this a red? I wouldn't drink it even if it was free. Is this a yellow? I would only drink this if it was free. Is it a green? I would buy this. Is it a blue? I would seek this out. And we're going to play What Would You Pay? But here's the deal. The only person who knows what this will be on the retail market at a ballpark is Big Whiskey at the bar. So I'm going to get to play and potentially have a chance to win the What Would You Pay championship belt chain presented by Box Drop of Lafayette. So I am going to start. So for me, this is so unique. This is a blue. I've got to find this. This is not one of those ones that I'm going to necessarily stockpile as a blue. If I see it, I'm maybe not buying everything on the shelf, but I got to find this. I've got to have this on the bar. I want to use this in a cocktail. I want to do terrible things with this. And this could absolutely live up to it. So it's a blue, and I'm going to go on the price. So let's see. We've got a double finish. We've got a 6-year. I'm going to go $82 on this bottle of whiskey. Caleb?
So I'm sitting here trying to juggle it in my head because I want to give it a green, but it's so unique, so different, so robust. Like it has to be a blue.
Yeah.
You know, and would I drink this every day? I could not drink this every day. Would I like to? Hell yeah. So blue, and now I don't know what to put as a price. I'm gonna go $10 over. I'm gonna go $92.
Ooh, 92.
Because I was thinking 85, and I can't do 3.
Okay. Father Glaude?
This is definitely one of the most unique bourbons that I have tried. I would definitely put this as a blue. It would take everything in me not to have a glass of this every day after supper.
Yep.
But this is one I would actually keep in my office and keep it as a secret stash.
Okay.
How much I would pay? I'm going to play it safe and go 75.
Go 75. All right. Kenny, so where do you rate this, first of all?
All right. Well, since I'm completely biased,
We know this, and that's okay.
I'll be honest with you. This for me, because I love Bibb and Tucker, and I know this is going to be an everyday item. I'm not going to argue with y'all that it's a blue. If you would have said it was a green, I wouldn't argue with that either, to be honest. So I'm not gonna be the squirrel and call it a green. It's a blue. But I'm also going to make you feel better and say that you could probably almost buy 2 for what you put it out there at.
Really?
This will retail on the very high end at $54 a bottle. On
Father
the very
Glaude,
high end.
Father Glaude wins the What Would You Pay championship belt chain presented by Box Drop of Lafayette. Look, at this price, this is an everyday drinker. Keep on your bar. Find it, get it, keep it, drink it, buy more. More Implicit Bias Radio coming your way as we dive into the topics that make sure that we're focusing on having the right friends in our lives on Implicit Bias Radio. It is the greatest political scandal in the history of the United States of America. We're going to cover it because choosing your friends would be really, 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 really important with regards to this story on Implicit Bias Radio. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. We are sipping some unobtainium, which we'll explain in a moment. And we are going to walk you through the AutoPen scandal, where it is, and why friends matter when it came to Joe Biden and all the stuff that was signed somehow, somewhere, some way, whether he knew about it or not. Let me introduce you to the crew here in the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair at the bar. Father Taj Glott is keeping us Catholic. We've got Kenny Michael, a.k.a. Big Whiskey from Deutsch Family Wine and Spirits. By the way, that's where the Redemption, the Bib and Tucker, if you drink wine, Josh Wines, it's where it all comes from. If you're in Louisiana, he's facilitated that for you, so you should thank him. And of course, the Rustic Renegade is sitting here nose humping a glass because we have something really, really special. Kenny, if you can give us a couple seconds on this before we dive into this story, because it's just so important.
Absolutely. So this is our Redemption 10-year-old rye. It is our barrel-aged, barrel-proof rye. We don't get much of this in Louisiana at all. We have none of this available right now. This is from my private stash. Redemption does their base tier. Then they do some other higher marks, whether it's the rum cask or the wheated bourbon or the cognac cask finished high rye bourbon. They also do they do a 9-year-old bourbon, a 10-year-old rye.
Holy hell, Kenny.
Yeah.
And a 10-year-old high rye bourbon. The 10-year-old high rye we used to be able to get. Then it won double gold at San Francisco spirits competition, and we haven't been able to get any in Louisiana ever since. So this is one of my favorites. It's 116.6 proof.
Would never know it.
And it is 10-year-old, 95% rye, 5% malted barley.
It is, when I say fantastic, I mean smooth, light, honeys on it that you get with that rye spice, even that little hint of licorice that I like now. I used to hate licorice, but that hint of it sits just perfectly with this. When I say this is one of those ryes to top all ryes, this is there. I mean, this is up there with the Thomas Handy Sazerac rye. Any high level rye, this, honestly, I think
this might be my favorite.
This might be.
Like
It's not as fun to order as the Thomas Handy, though.
No, it's not. Especially when you got people who go and tell other people in your life that this was asked for in an inappropriate manner. No, it wasn't. Anyway, inside joke. We'll maybe tell that during
lessons were learned.
Yeah, maybe we'll tell that during our bonus content, which, by the way, you can sign up for any podcast platform. Just go click the link to subscribe and support the show. We would love it if you would go there. We're going to have lots of great content there. The content that's not going to start there, though, the AutoPen scandal. So here's now what we know. We know a couple of things. Number one, we know that Joe Biden initially said something to the effect of, I don't remember authorizing these things, and then came back and said, no, I authorized them all.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, when he said he didn't remember, that was when he was talking to J.D. Vance, wasn't it?
Correct. Yeah. No. Actually, when he said that was talking to Mike Johnson.
Oh, that's what I meant. I apologize, yeah.
Right? But then he came out and said, oh, no. I orally gave approval on another interview very lately.
Yeah, and he said every one of them.
Yes. So he orally gave approval to, 8,000 pieces of action?
January 17th, 2,400.
Go ahead, Kenny, laugh it up. Yuck it up. Ring the bell. I set it up.
Alone, right? So I don't know what his oral skills are.
Not even Kamala Harris could have done that one.
Look, I feel like at this point in time, poor Jill. Like, poor Jill is all I can say.
Okay, here's the bigger issue for me. And this is where I really
Nothing, not even a laugh?
You got laughs at the bar. I mean, I'm guessing that for those watching on our socials, if you're watching on YouTube, you're probably watching Father Taj and Kenny just chuckle at the bar because of the references that are being made. But
I love being a child. I really do.
Here's the bigger point, and you're so good at it. Here's the bigger point. Number one, because there's multiples here. Number one, we now have to go with this. Multiple people testifying in front of Congress and not testifying, including Jill Biden, including his doctor, including her chief of staff. I mean, you've got no one answering questions on anything about this.
Yeah, multiple aides are coming out. Like, people are lining up. And he is setting them up for what I think is perjury. Because there's no way.
They're taking the fifth.
Well, they're going to have
They're
to.
not going to have
no one. Yeah, no one can say anything about this because 2,400 people, right? There's not enough time in the day to say, yes, Jim gets one. Yes, Jane gets one. Yes, John gets one. Each letter of the alphabet, there's not enough time.
Here's the other big problem that you have is you have a pardon for Fauci, for Dr. Anthony Fauci.
After hours.
After hours. And it was signed. Was it signed by Joe by hand or by the AutoPen? Please don't believe us. Signed by the AutoPen. Number one, why would you process an after hours pardon for Dr. Anthony Fauci when he has been charged with nothing?
Look, you only cover your tracks whenever someone's going to eventually find you.
And here's the dead giveaway. The dead giveaway is, please, again, don't believe us on this one. The dead giveaway is go look at the pardon for Hunter Biden. The pardon for Hunter Biden was signed incredibly differently than the one signed for Anthony Fauci and all the other people who had executive action taken. Father Glaude, you want to chime in?
And I was going to mention with that pardon for Hunter Biden, and that was after he said on national TV that he would not pardon his son. Then he turned around and did it anyway. But were we really surprised by it? I know I wasn't.
Oh, I'm not surprised at all. Not surprised whatsoever. Maybe the fact that the pardon goes back to 2014 for Hunter? What? Hold on. Everything happens for a reason. Axiom of life. Everything happens for a reason. Therefore, why would you pardon your son for things that he has not been charged for going all the way back to 2014? And why would you sign it differently than all the other pardons that were signed?
Because he wanted his mark on that one. The other one's not so much. I believe he wanted his mark on that one. And look, I can't begrudge him for pardoning his son. Do I agree with it? No. Would I want to if I was in his position? Oh my God, I would want to pardon my son. I would want to protect my child. I would want to do anything I can or could. Would I have? Man, it takes a whole lot of constitution.
So let me ask you this, Caleb. And this is an interesting thought process because I agree with you. I would absolutely want to pardon my son. I would absolutely want to do that. You know what would absolutely make me pardon my son? If my son could implicate me and my wife and my granddaughter and everybody else for crimes that were committed. Now, the pardon might just backfire because now if he were called in front of Congress to testify or in court to testify on these crimes, guess what? He can't take the fifth. Hunter Biden would not be able to take the fifth because of the
He's
pardon.
already been forgiven, so he'd have to answer.
He'd be compelled to testify, which brings me back to the fact that Joe Biden somewhere, somehow, still thinks he's on Uranus. I mean the planet. I know where your mind is. I mean the planet. He is somewhere out in space. He was never there, which is why this is the biggest scandal. Other people, his quote-unquote friends, were running the government. His quote-unquote friends were drugging him up, our opinion, and putting him out in front of people. His quote-unquote friends were keeping him in office in order to keep themselves out of trouble.
What if I'm not mistaken, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but my understanding is this is a federal pardon, that if he were to get charged for something in a state level,
Correct.
for the same thing, it's not a pardon, so he could plead the fifth if it were a state level.
He could if it were a state level. But if you're looking to prosecute Joe Biden on treason for selling secrets to the Chinese government, like if the Chinese were to come back and say, hey, we funneled all this money to the Biden family for them to do X, Y, Z. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Anyway, if they were to come say that, and then he goes on trial, he would go on trial federally because that's an international issue, not state.
Yeah.
But to be fair, you know, the really fun part here is you've got all these crimes that they have accused a former president of that are now Jen Psaki and everybody. They are all circling back, which is what we're going to have to do on the final segment of hour one of this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. More of the stories, more whiskey, more of your implicit bias. Final segment of hour one of this week's episode of Implicit Bias, and I wish we'd actually gotten that on a hot mic because Kenny is like leaning back. Big Whiskey is reclining at the bar and gave us a drums please, and it didn't get caught. I hate that. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. We've got a crew for you here in the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair somewhere in downtown Lafayette, Louisiana. By the way, if you want to do something absolutely outstanding for you and somebody special, and you're a whiskey drinker, go to Mr. Lester's during the month of July. If you mention Implicit Bias, your first pour of any bourbon, what is it, Caleb?
$1.
$1. Yes. Y'all know it. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, old rap reference. $1. So $1 for the first pour and then $5 pours after.
It's outrageous.
It is absurd. It is straight to plaid.
And look, Chef Willie brought it out of nowhere. And look, God bless him, because he wants y'all to enjoy the finer things in life. He really does.
He wants you to have an office with big, massive paintings of presidents. He wants you to have maybe a painting of a president in a blue dress in a chair, maybe a painting of a president sitting in front of the Resolute desk with a couple of planes and some Lincoln logs knocked over.
Yep.
He wants you to have.
Was it Lincoln logs or was it?
It was little blocks.
Yeah, the little blocks.
But like kind of like
yeah.
that was the best way to describe it.
Yeah,
Little Lincoln
because I
logs,
would
yeah.
have said the way. Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, I mean, they want you to have the best things in life that only the richest people on the planet have.
But don't inhale.
Well, and not just that. Don't not kill yourself.
Yeah.
Because apparently, this whole Epstein thing is just so funny to me. We're going to go into the Epstein thing a little bit more next week. We'll talk more about that and why it has to, our opinion, be a rope-a-dope, but we'll talk about that. This is the thing that has jumped out at me this week, and I want to discuss in the Mr. Lester's Top Secret podcast lair, and it's this. We were given video of Jeffrey Epstein's cell, allegedly given video. Now, first of all, there are inconsistencies between the picture that we were shown of his cell when he allegedly didn't kill himself, and that cell looks totally different from the cell that we saw video of when they released all of this. That's happening number one. Happening number two is this. Wired Magazine, please don't believe us, go look this up. Wired Magazine figured out not just that more than 2 minutes were edited out of the video, but what software was used, how many layers there were on the software and on the video. Oh yeah, Wired got into this. Here's the question I have. The Department of Justice, the FBI, do they really think that no one's gonna look?
Well, I think that the game's being played and that we just want to go along is what they hope. Because the vast majority of people out there, they're going to say, look, smoke and mirrors don't exist. It's done. It's over with. You got your answer. Walk away. And I'm hearing from both sides. Everyone's upset about not having information now. And one side saying we demand it, the other side saying we don't. And then they flip-flop back and forth. And I think that they're just trying to, if it's pull wool over our eyes or just give us misdirection, I'm not sure which.
It's, all of it's political theater. It's
Agreed.
100% political theater for sure. However, I see on one side that if there was truly something there that was like everybody's saying that, Trump's trying to protect himself, the Dems would have 100% used it already, without a doubt.
Yep.
However, on the other side of that, there's definitely something there. Just put it out there and let the chips fall where they may. But I understand the point that you made about the hammer and the chisel, the hammer and the scalpel. I get that. You don't have to do it all at once, but don't say there's nothing there. Come on.
Well, here to me is the really fun part. Father, do you want to jump in before I start to dissect this a little bit more? Because there's a lot more to this that people just aren't thinking about.
Okay, part of me wants to wait until you.
No, go ahead. You go ahead and then let me put some thoughts in your brain that might make it go.
You're going to use your oral skills?
No.
Thanks. Now that's going to be stuck in my head all day. Actually, I'm not sure where to start with this, because they said for months they were gonna release everything.
Yep.
And now they're saying, oh well, there's nothing here. Okay, that should be red flag number one. What are y'all trying to hide? Y'all have the authority to release all of this. Who do these people think they're clowning? And people say, well, they were born at night, but not last night.
Yep.
I can say I'm the opposite. I was born in the morning, but not this morning.
Yeah. So here's what I find really interesting about this. Number one, to your point, Father, people are not stupid with this. People are not ignoring this, which maybe to me is the scalpel. Now you've got everyone screaming for this. And for those who've listened to this show, we've been talking about this for 5 years. Think about that. We were started talking about this 5 years ago. This was the stuff of conspiracy theorists. Ring the bell, because the conspiracy theorists were right. But here's how you know that this is so important and that there has to be more to it. Number one, It's all about Jeffrey Epstein's friends. Who were his friends? Who was he hanging out with? Who was his circle of influence? And it goes beyond saying, oh, there's a picture of him and Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Trump kicked him out. It goes beyond some of that. It goes to Ghislaine Maxwell, who, by the way, if you don't know, and please don't believe me on this, her father, by the name of Robert Maxwell, also allegedly committed suicide on his yacht in the Mediterranean, where he was also tied in working for the Mossad, and he was a publisher in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, which means that he was in charge of printing a lot of textbooks which tell the history of the world, which is told by the victors. That's a different rabbit hole. But here's how you know. Wired magazine took the video, analyzed the video. Wired is a great outlet for technological reporting.
It's a bunch of nerds.
They analyzed the video, and it took them a couple of days to say, this was edited, there's 2.5 minutes missing at least.
Well, they did their due diligence when others didn't.
They did. Which means maybe someone should have done some due diligence on a birth certificate back, say around 2007. So you're telling me that we can look at a video today and say, oh, this video was edited. There's multiple layers. We can tell you what software was used. But they can't go look at a birth certificate that was released by a candidate for president of the United States and say, oh, this might have been photoshopped. Or wait, maybe somebody already did. Sheriff Joe Arpaio, or Arpaio, I can't remember his exact pronunciation, sheriff out of Phoenix, Arizona. Well known for putting inmates in pink and feeding them nothing but bologna sandwiches and putting them outside and saying prison is not a club med or a club fed. He did the investigation. He had a guy look at that birth certificate, and that guy was able to deduce whose actual birth certificate it started out as before they started layering Photoshop on top of Photoshop on top of Photoshop to basically certify that someone who was being questioned with regards to his citizenship and thus eligibility to be president of the United States, that birth certificate was falsified. Please don't believe me. Go look this up, but don't look it up on Google. Go look it up on one of the search engines that's going to give you a little bit different. Look it up on Yandex or DuckDuckGo. Go ask Grok 4.0. But the fact that Wired looked at this video but didn't look and has not looked to this day at that birth certificate tells you everything.
Well, it tells you the angle of approach.
For some reason, I feel like we're in something similar to the Warren Commission from the John F. Kennedy assassination.
Yeah?
Especially, and one thing that comes to mind with that is, in reference to this, is I don't know if y'all remember the autopsy reports
Yes.
that they put out where they showed Kennedy's head having
A piece of skull and then, not a piece. Yeah.
Yeah. If you look at the Zapruder film, the man literally had half his head blown off.
Correct.
And it goes back to what I said earlier. They just think the common man is just stupid. Any fool can see through this.
Well, here's the beautiful part of this, and this is where we're going to have to wrap up hour one. The beautiful part of this is the great equalizer are our friends in our community of who we share information with. And the more this information gets shared, the more people are calling BS on this, which is the Kennedy assassination, whether it's Epstein, whether it's the birth certificate. More people have put their heads together and said, we are looking for truth and virtue, and they are finding it, which you will find if you stick around for hour two of Implicit Bias Radio right after this. New hour, new whiskey on the bar on Implicit Bias Radio. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. And man, it's been a fun show so far. Hour two is about to get a whole lot more enjoyable because, big whiskey brought big whiskeys. We've done the Gold Roast Bib and Tucker. We've sampled the 10-year Redemption Rye Barrel Proof. And there's a whole nother one up there that, man, I want to call him the Liquor Fairy. Because he just keeps showing up and it keeps just popping up new whiskeys and all this stuff. What an episode of Implicit Bias Radio. Kenny, I need you to tell us about, and first of all, the presentation on that bottle. The copper with the patina on the glass just looks so good. And the shape of the bottle. This is expected to be something really special.
Yeah, so I will say that this is a happy 5th anniversary to Implicit Bias.
Ring the bell. Thank
I
you.
have
We
been-
cannot be more appreciative for everything you've done for Implicit Bias
I have been
Radio.
saving this bottle. I'll be perfectly honest. I've had this bottle in my possession unopened for probably 4.5 years.
Damn.
And I have been saving it for the right time. And I didn't feel like 2 years was enough. I don't think 3 years or 4 years I wasn't here.
Yeah.
So this year I was like, you know what, 5 years is good. That means this thing's just growing and it's around to stay. And I wanted to do something special, and I wanted to share it with special people.
Cheers
and
to you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers. So I wanted to make sure that we brought out something really cool for year 5. I brought the 10. That's cool enough by itself, but this 18 year is pretty special. So, you know, you take the evolution and the growth of a product, of any kind of product, and our everyday drinker Redemption Rye is an average 2.5, 3 year aged rye, and it is a 95% rye, 5% malted barley, and it is a great everyday drinker at $24 a bottle. You take it and you expand it, and you take it to 10 years, and it is lights out. And when you take it to 18 years, it's even better. And I will tell you, I've tried this product, but it's been 8 years since I've tried it.
Okay.
I haven't tried this bottle. This is the first crack of this bottle. When we purchased Redemption from its previous owners, we inherited some 18-year-old rye and a handful of 36-year-old rye. Damn. And I've mentioned on this show before, the 36-year rye, the last bottle that we know of, sold at Sotheby's for $36,000.
Wow.
I haven't seen this go to auction. We are getting ready we just released an 18-year-old bourbon that has been reported to be better than Pappy's. That will unfortunately not make it to Louisiana for sale.
I hate that.
That's not to say I won't get a bottle.
Yeah.
That's just saying it won't make it to Louisiana for sale, unfortunately. I will go find it somewhere.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
There is. So, and it won double gold at San Francisco as well. It won Best in Show. So it made a splash right off the bat. This one, I don't know about any accolades other than it's been sought after for many, many years. And we've got a bottle.
So go ahead, Caleb.
So what you're saying is I need to make room.
Yes, you do.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and Caleb's going to do that. The other thing is, the theme of this show is we're getting by with a little help from our friends. And what I don't know that people realize about Implicit Bias Radio, what I don't know that people realize about the 5 years that this show has been in production. It literally, and I tell this often, it started more or less as a dare, and then Implicit Birthday started as a joke. And here we are 5 years later into the show. So the dare has essentially worked out. We got double dog dared. We stuck our tongue to the flagpole, and we were able to hold it there and separate. Implicit Birthday, our 5-year anniversary party where we raise money for charity, that started as a joke that apparently we're still laughing at because we're still raising money for great causes. Caleb has an opportunity to have that rye, and he doesn't realize it. So the other
Well, I
part
was
of that
listening
is,
to you and reminiscing at the same time.
the other part of that is this. The Implicit Bias show doesn't make it without you. It doesn't make it without the people that are on this show, without every advertiser that we have, without every listener that's been a part of this show, without our weekly whiskey partners, without all the iterations of all the things that we've done, including without Sam Stokes, rest in peace. He's still alive, I promise. Without everyone that's been a part of this show at somewhere, some point. We don't get here without our friends because our friends have supported us in the right way. Hold on, Caleb, which is where I want you to support.
I'll hold it.
There you go. You can pour. So when we get an opportunity for something like this is a huge thank you to you, our listener, our watcher, our viewer on any platform, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, X, Facebook. I mean, we've even now got a presence on Truth Social, on Rumble. We've even got some stuff on the TikTok. Yeah, the TikTok. Anyway, yeah, on the talk.
I prefer the TikTok. Like I feel like I'm more dignified.
TikTok, 11 o'clock. Just anyway, can't go there on full-on radio. So thank you to all the friends of this show. Because the reality is without the community, the stuff we're talking about today that we started talking about, as we told you in hour one, we started talking about 5 years ago, we weren't able to help you get that far ahead of the curve. We weren't able to get that far ahead of the curve without you.
It still astounds me that people listen to us. And the people that stop me and stop you, that just enjoy they enjoy the show, enjoy what we talk about, and enjoy the honesty that we present everything in. It just, I mean, I feel appreciated because I appreciate so much.
And I'd love to tell you we're right 100% of the time. We're not. We do our best to correct ourselves when we're wrong. Even given the fact that we admit that we have been wrong multiple times on this show and things that we need to go back and say, hey, we had this little fact wrong. Usually it's something small. It's not something major. But when we go back and say it, at least we can say that we've been right a hell of a lot more than CNN or MSNBC. So then again, that's a really low bar. Anyway, as we get into the stories about our friends and who we associate with, this all really started because I started in the media a long time ago. And I started in what back then people would have called legacy media. Major network. By the way, some of you are watching on that platform now, which is KLFY Plus. But I got into the business to tell people the truth and let them make up their own minds. And that changed a long time ago. So when we started doing this show, the premise of, hey, look, we're going to tell you the stories that other people don't want to tell you. It was all about what's happened to the people who are supposed to be here giving you both sides of the story, and they're not. You only get it now in small places. So, Kenny, I'm going to let you jump in there because I'm taking this to home plate at some point.
I feel like I honestly feel like the last bastion, in a sense, and it's getting away from that. But the last bastion of legacy media that you can kind of count on is local.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Local legacy media. So your local CBS, your local NBC, your local ABC, those are still, for the most part, presenting the facts.
As best as you're going to get.
Yes.
But even them, and this is where I'm going to go, because this story is so important. Because this story will sum it all up in one neat little, what they would call in the media, a package. No, Caleb, not that. It's a news package, right? The whole story in a minute 30 or less. I'm going to give it to you in just a couple of seconds. And I'm even going to go to my phone on this one so I can read the exact quote.
So you're about to give us your package.
In a minute 30 or less. About right.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I had fun. Anyway. This is a quote, and it was actually put on a national broadcast. And this is the sad part. Nobody watches this station anymore, which means that not many people saw it. And the people who saw it probably didn't care. But this is the quote. If social media platforms don't moderate content, then we lose total control. Period. Now, Kenny, I know by the look on your face that you saw that story and you know who said that. Yeah. The sad part here is the media should be screaming this from the mountaintops. The media should be so upset that a political figure would say something like this. Should be the story of 2025 almost. Granted, 2025 is 2025, which means it's all jacked up. But this...
When was that? When was that?
This was recent.
Yeah, because that's not the first time she has said that exact same thing. I thought that clip was a couple years old.
Yeah, she's
because
asked
this
for
is not the
censorship.
first time she has said the exact same thing.
She has begged for censorship in the past because, control the media, control the masses. And if you can make sure that people aren't speaking free will and asking for information the way they want and spreading information, then you control the narrative.
By the way, when we say she, I love my life. I am not suicidal. I love my wife. I love my kids. I've got a great life, and I have no intention of ever taking my life because I'm Catholic. It's the worst sin we can commit. I don't get to decide when I go. So therefore, if something were to happen to me, you know that the person who said this quote might be involved.
I would never do it, especially not with two to the back of my head.
Yeah. I would never Arkanside myself.
Yeah.
Father?
First of all, let me begin by quoting one of my favorite, if not my favorite movies.
Okay.
And that ain't nothing but pure and simple old-fashioned communism.
Smokey and the Bandit. Boy,
Thank you.
Boy, when I get home, remind me to punch your mama right in the mouth. Yeah, Jackie Gleason in Smokey and the Bandit. By the way, that was not me saying that I want to punch my wife because I know somebody's going to want to take that out of context. No, that was Jackie Gleason, Smokey and the Bandit. It was a joke, people. I know that there are about 3 generations that can't take one. It's okay. Go ahead, Father.
But the reason why nobody's talking about this and the media is not in the frenzy that it should be about this is because of who it came from.
It's
You
their
mean
friend.
You mean they're placating?
Oh, no, it's their girlfriend.
It's their friend. And this is why we have to understand friendship. And I'm glad we went here because in the monologue, we talked about friends should help you follow virtue. Friends should help you find faith, right? The community, which goes back to what Kenny was talking about, where local media is just the closest extension to your community. It's the closest you're going to get to a friend, right? So, Father, when you think about this, that's their friend. Their friend is not helping them find truth. Their friend is helping them find horror. Their friend is helping them find, for lack of a better term, evil.
Pure evil.
Well, it's understanding the difference between a friend and acquaintance and a wolf in sheep's clothing. Because a friend will call you out on your bullshit. A friend,
Oh, we're going to have to
Yeah,
edit
that's
that one.
yeah, a friend,
Poor Tug is like, I don't normally do audio, and here's
a
Caleb.
friend will make sure that you are sticking true to your
Not towards God's.
toward God's moral compass, toward God's
Right.
rules,
Yep.
toward the things that we are bound to by our Creator. And an acquaintance doesn't care. An acquaintance doesn't really care because it's a whim. They might be here for a season, for a time. What happens with you is irrelevant because they're what's more important. And we need to understand the difference between a friend and an acquaintance heavily. And it's just disheartening because I don't think this person really has any friends. I think this person knows how to manipulate, leverage, and how to use people. And that's got to be a very lonely existence. And I pray for this person often. I really do.
You know, Caleb, you reminded me of something that C.S. Lewis once wrote in one of my favorite books of his titled The Four Loves. He makes a distinction between liking someone and loving someone.
Yep.
He says when you like someone, you're merely just saying you simply enjoy their company, nothing more, nothing less. But when you say, when you tell someone you love them, and not just tell them, but show it, because love is an action, it's not a feeling. It's saying that you care for them body and soul, that you will do whatever it takes to get them to heaven.
To will the good of other
Yes, to
for
will
the
the good-
sake of other, as St. Thomas
Yes.
Aquinas would define it.
Exactly.
Right? And that is where this quote and the fact that the media is not up in arms about it leads me. Because to your point, this is transactional. This is, you're going to give us this, we're going to give you that. It is a quid pro quo relationship. What I love about the community that we have with Implicit Bias Radio is that there is not a person who is a part of what we have built here that I look at and think, oh, this is always has to be, what are you doing for me so that I can do this for you? This is how do we do all of this together for the good of not just each other, but for the good of everybody out there who listens to, who watches, who's a part of this community. Tug, do you give me the finger? Oh, no. Okay, good.
Well, and that's biblical love because we do what we do, not for our own gain, but for the gain of Christ's body.
Like this whole thing that we're talking about, though, it comes down to clubism, and that is one of those things where they're all part of the same club, so their moral compass is skewed all in the same direction. So they really don't know exactly what love means, or they don't know what friendship means. It's all to them. It is all about what the club, and we're in the same club, so I'm not going to call you out on anything.
So, well, you don't mean like we here in the Mr. Lester's TSPL
I'm talking
are on
about
the same club.
I'm
You
talking
mean
about
their club.
Their club.
Okay, I thought you also might have been referencing the club that you used to get your wife to marry you. That's a whole different story.
That yeah.
I've known your wife
Bam,
a long
bam.
time. She's a fantastic woman. I
Yeah.
know you hit her over the head a couple of times.
I got her when she was young.
Okay, we're not talking Epstein Young here. That's all we're saying, right? We're not talking that. But to your point, Kenny, and I get it. You're right. It's the George Carlin. It's what we've quoted on this show so many times. It's all one big club, and you ain't in it. We ain't in it either.
And that's the thing is, I think that everyone in this room, we don't want to be in that club.
Oh, no.
We have no desire to be in that club.
But here's the fun part. The fun part is this, is that over 5 years, I thought I was fairly certain of this when we started the show. 5 years in, I am 100% confident that yes, it's one big club and we're not in it. But there's an even bigger club out there. And it's the rest of us who want truth, who want justice, who want to live life the right way, who want to take that 1 minute finger now that he brings it up and stick it somewhere. It's the rest of us who all just want to be left alone instead of the elitists who think that they need to run and rule everyone else's life. Jesus warned us against these people. Jesus set us up and said, don't trust these people. And we have trusted them for far too long. So what we're going to tell you is, we're going to go back to some musical lyrics. Don't trust it. Come back for more of Hour 2 of Implicit Bias Radio. Brigitte Macron. And no, I do not need to change a pair of Depends like Joe Biden. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. This is Implicit Bias Radio. Oh, see, we're getting the bell right there from the bar, right out of the gate, as we continue Hour 2, which is always more fun on Implicit Bias Radio. Let me introduce you to the crew here on this week's show in the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair at the bar. He's trying. He really is. Father Taj Glad is really doing his best to keep us Catholic and Christian on this show. Oh, you got your work cut out for you, Father. God bless. Sitting next to him is Big Whiskey Kenny Michael, who has brought big whiskeys with him here this week. Oh, that's a new one. We've never had anybody do that one. I mean, like, I'm waiting for you to do like what is it they call the aura farming, like the little kid who's on the front of the boat in Thailand with the pump and the barrel of the hands. And yeah, that's coming soon. Okay. And then, of course, we've got the Rustic Renegade.
I'm still impressed by like the fluidity of that rigid movement you just did.
Wait, what?
Yeah, no, it was.
I'm not going there. Anyway, we are having more fun than we should legally be allowed to have on radio, podcast, social media here in the TSPL. That's the top secret podcast lair for the uninitiated. And if you're listening in New Orleans, Monroe, if you're listening in Ruston or Bossier or watching on KLFY Plus, cheers. Grab a whiskey because we're about to have some fun. And the fun comes in the fact that Brigitte Macron, yeah, I've got to say that like I'm in Monty Python every single time, has officially lost a defamation lawsuit against an influencer who claimed that Brigitte is not Brigitte, but might be closer to Brandon, if you're picking up what we're putting down.
Well, and look, it's more than an influencer.
Correct.
It's an influencer and a clairvoyant.
Now you're losing me.
That's the original defamation lawsuit, was Miss Roy, which is the clairvoyant, and the influencer whose name escapes me, who were saying that Brigitte was actually born, and I don't remember the name, but a male's name. And they have shown pictures of this male. And they said, well, hold on. That's not Brigitte. That's her brother.
That's part of the allegation. Look, Candace Owens has been down this road. But there are some things that make you go, you'll CNC Music Factory about this. Like the doctor who was set to testify as this was going to go to trial for defamation, mysteriously died. Please don't believe us on this. Go look this up. Kenny, you brought up an incident that was really a big part of the paradigm here, which is there was a plane. So, by the way, for those who don't know who Brigitte Macron is, her husband is Pierre Macron, Prime Minister of France. You, Kenny, asked if this was the same person who slapped said Prime Minister on video. Right? I mean, so tell us what you remember about this.
Well, I mean, I honestly don't pay much attention to the French at all, except for I love their wine.
Agreed.
And I
well,
don't really
that and the reverse lights on their tanks.
Absolutely. Didn't pay much attention to this until you shared it this week. I've heard about it. I just don't pay much attention to it. And then it dawned on me as we were talking that we had this video come out about Pierre Macron getting smacked on the plane and then ducking back behind everything and waving or whatever. And I didn't put it together at the time that this was her.
Allegedly the same hominoid.
Right.
We'll leave it there. Yeah. Right. I mean, I don't want to assume anything. I'm not trying to be insulting here either.
Well, and look, the people that had the original case, the charges were dropped essentially.
But we have to be clear as to why the charges were dropped.
And it's because freedom of speech. They said it aligned with freedom of speech.
Well, there was no malicious intent.
Correct.
They were not apparently saying this.
They weren't trying to defame.
Correct.
Brigitte.
In order to harm. They were just trying to say what they honestly believed was true.
Right. And look,
so it's not that they lost the case because
she's a man.
Correct. It's that they lost the case because they honestly believed it was true.
Right. And look, they haven't looked into the validity of it. But when you start going down the rabbit hole and looking into it, whenever they posted the pictures of this young man that they were saying was Brigitte, that Brigitte and their family saying that's her brother, who no one has any, there's no graduation records, there's no school records. They can say he attended at a certain time. There's no work history.
Please don't believe us. Go look this up for yourself.
Sit down and do some research. I learned into this because, look, I like to, my wife goes down the same rabbit holes that I do sometimes. And I want my wife to know that I love her and I'm interested in her interests. And she listens to Candace Owens. So instead of just going,
You looked at this.
I looked it up and I was like, holy crap.
The more you look, sometimes the less you wish you knew.
Oh, yeah, this is, like, in my mind, Brigitte said, look, grab me by the nutsack next time I slap you.
It's time for another ganglion shot, isn't it, Caleb? Yeah, that's what I thought. Chill the adrenaline out. Father Glaude, you've got an opinion here.
I'm probably going to have to go to confession after this. But
Okay, I can't believe we're going to be responsible for sending a Catholic priest to confession. That is not a good thing.
Oh, no. It'll be me. It'll be on me. I don't blame any of you. I'm putting myself down this rabbit hole.
We're your friends, and we are trying to bring you towards virtue and truth, which, of course, might bring you to this rabbit hole.
Well, truth can be a rabbit hole, but it's like to say the truth shall set you free.
Fair.
I'm just looking at this picture. And I'm just thinking, anybody who thinks that's pretty, excuse me while I go and puke.
Well, look, for every,
Okay, I'm
for every person, there's something, right? For every person, there's something. Do I think she's an attractive woman? No.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But here's what I will say, and I think that everybody here will agree with me on this one. When you look at him, typically, a guy that looks like him ain't fishing in that pond. That's all I'm going to say. A guy that looks like him is usually fishing in a deep-sea fishing charter, in a multi-million-dollar boat, where he's reeling in big-time sport fish. Not one that you look at and go, oh, that's a monkfish? We need to throw that one back.
Brigitte's what, 70, 71?
Well, she's significantly older, which is a whole nother rabbit hole.
Yeah, because how old is Pierre? What, in his
50s?
50s, yeah.
Okay, I was thinking more 40s. So I mean,
He might be
He's
might be
like
mid
early
40s. She might be
early
60s.
50s, I think.
There's a significant age gap. She is significantly older than him, which begs the question of who took care of him when he was a kid,
talk about rocking the cradle.
which is a whole nother rabbit hole as part of this story. Candace Owens has put a lot of this out there, and Candace Owens has gotten a lot of flack for it. I think just the conversation around this is really interesting and really unique because it brings about the question of where are we getting the truth? Where are we getting what's really the truth? I mean, there are some things, like I said, that make you go see and see Music Factory when you're like, so wait a minute. The doctor who was going to testify on behalf of the defense in the defamation case is filed by the plaintiff, Brigitte Macron. The doctor who was going to testify on behalf of the defense in the defamation case mysteriously dies.
Dong.
Yeah. You go, okay, that's awfully fortuitous for the prosecution. And then the case goes away on a technicality, which might even be better for the plaintiff. This whole story is so far down the rabbit hole. And Kenny, I think you had the big question, which is why? Why would they lie about this? First of all, and I don't have this number in front of me. I'd love to have it. What year did Pierre Macron take over as Premier of France?
I have no clue.
It was
It
was
Yeah,
many.
yeah.
It was a few years ago. It wasn't yesterday. It wasn't in
Yeah.
the last 5 years, right? But it was at a time when, if all of this had become public, when people were saying, "Hey, there's an agenda," and the people potentially with the agenda were saying, "No, there's no agenda." If all of a sudden you realize that the people that you're voting for do have that agenda, it destroys everything you're trying to do.
What kind of financial situation is the wife in? Like, does she come from money? Is there a financial reason why they're together? I mean, there's a lot of reasons why.
I
To your
don't
point,
think
a
so.
man like that doesn't fish in those ponds, but maybe that pond.
Here's
is,
what I know. What I know is this, is that no one who ends up as the premier of France or the president of the United States is ever hurting financially. And that is part of our implicit bias, which we're going to put a little bow on. We're going to come back in the next segment. We'll continue this. We'll dive into more stories, and we'll hope that you will be our friend on this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. Penultimate segment for this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radios. We are shifting gears. I'm Kevon Bordelon, your host. I am joined in the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair by some just absolutely fantastic friends of Implicit Bias Radio. First of all, at the bar, we've got Kenny Michael. He's known as Big Whiskey. He's known as the Liquor Fairy. He's also known as one of my best friends on the planet because Kenny Michael and I have known each other for the better part of 35 years almost. And while it's funny how it started, a little contentious, it's amazing how it worked out. It worked out with maybe with me not getting a date with the girl I thought, but ending up with two friends that are absolutely some of the best people I know on this planet. Joining him at the bar is Father Taj Glaude, who, again, another friend of the show. We came about and met because of the Rustic Renegade, who is back with us. We traded in the Rustic Renegade for the sixth member of the Backstreet Boys. We got him back, and Father Taj Glaude is here with us. Caleb Morris is here. Tug is actually working audio because Walker Griffon is out this week, which means we've got Walker, not Walker, actually behind the video. So when I said shifting gears, here's kind of the story that I wanted to dive into because I believe that this story has a lot to do with a lot of things that are going on at a lot of levels. You may or may not have seen that there was a raid on a farm by ICE. Now, first of all, let's talk about what kind of farm this is.
Would you call that a farm?
Oh, it's a farm.
It's definitely a farm.
It's definitely a farm. There is no doubt it's a farm.
Yeah. Well,
What would you call it if you wouldn't call
I
it a
don't know.
farm?
Like that's like, I mean, people that grow microgreens have a farm.
It's
That's a
not a
farm.
ranch, but it's a farm.
Yeah.
It might even be a ranch.
They're growing agriculture. It's a farm.
Well, so a ranch is usually livestock. This
Right.
was not livestock.
Right.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I guess it's right. 'Cause
Although,
people that
in a
just-
sense, they do have some livestock.
Well,
Oh.
ring the bell. That
Well
was
done,
good,
sir.
Kenny.
Well done.
That was good because we're going to go, and that's why this story matters. So first of all, Father, did you catch this story? Did you see what I sent and understand why this farm, just what they grow, was a big deal? It's okay if you didn't.
Well, I tried to, but my phone started playing tricks on me.
It's okay.
To give you a hint, if you go down Ambassador Caffrey at 9 in the morning, sometimes you'll smell what they grow.
Oh yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm.
When you see the word weed,
Yeah, there you go.
growing up, I grew up with music that talked about weed.
Snoop
That-
Dogg?
So did we.
No limit records, if y'all remember.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the point. So it was a weed farm that ICE raided.
So it was a cartel.
So here's the thing, because weed in certain states is legal and growing
Yeah.
medicinal, right? You've got some laws surrounding this business. But what Kenny brought up was what's really important. When Kenny said they have livestock.
Illegals.
It was what, 360 people.
360 illegal aliens.
Oh, but it's not just illegal aliens. It's not just that. Well, let me rephrase this. It's
wait.
not just that
It's
it's
more than
illegal
just-
aliens.
Oh wait, minors,
Children.
children.
And you know what got me is when they're-
Unaccompanied children. Kenny,
Yes.
doesn't have his own mic. We
Yeah.
got to figure that out
'cause
sooner or later.
It was unaccompanied minors. And people were saying, well, oh, these are children of the workers. And these are people that were coming through and that they're being separated from their family. But is that what they found out?
I don't think so. Kenny?
8 of the 10 had no adult supervision or family with them, unless you count the farmers that had no supervision over them.
So wait, if you were bringing minors into this country unaccompanied and they found them there, what do you think they were brought here for?
I've got a name for that. There's actually a series on Nat Geo that is named after, I think, what that is. I think those children, and it starts with a T. Anybody know what that word is?
Trafficking.
Trafficked, yes. Those children were trafficked across the border. Now, it might have been cartels that trafficked them, Kenny. Who knows? It might have been the Democratic Party of California. I don't know. I have no idea. But the fact that when ICE raided that particular farm, and this is the key, Tom Homan has said multiple times, this is about kids. We have recovered, and they've said we've recovered thousands of children who were unaccompanied across the border, thousands of children who went missing. This is all about kids.
And I mean, it's heartbreaking.
It is crushing.
It's infuriating to me,
Yeah.
especially when you consider the fact that the very party, and I'm just going to say it, the Democratic Party, who are all for children, are decrying this despite the fact that these are children that are actually being forced, if not also sold, into slavery.
So let's juxtapose this with a couple of things. Number one,
So I can see my anger coming out.
Yeah, no.
It's worth
We are
being
not
angry.
upset about that. We should be angry about this. You should be even more angry that a Democratic congresswoman went to the border a couple years ago, stood by a fence, and took a disingenuous picture
AOC.
of her standing there crying because of the children in cages. And what that really was about was the fact that children are being trafficked across the border, and she doesn't care about the kids that are having to work in the fields and work on this
course
marijuana
not.
farm and that are being trafficked by cartels and all the other evil people on this planet. She was trying to make political capital off of the fact that the border was trying to be secured so that we take away the incentive. This is about taking away the carrot, right? The carrot for the cartels is dangling it out in front of people and telling them, look, we're going to get your kids across the border. We're going to do these great things to uninformed people who don't know. We're going to take care of you. We're going to take care of your family. We're going to get your child a better life. And essentially what happens is they bring them here and they sell them, to your point, into slavery.
And
And if I want to say this, and here's one of the things I'll probably have to go to confession for.
This is
The
twice
ne-
we are
the
sending
ne-
a Catholic
the
priest
next
to confession.
time, the next time I hear another member of the clergy decry ICE for trying to rescue children from trafficking and demonize these very brave agents, I am going to say that I'm going to go ballistic. We'll be putting it mildly.
Ring the bell. Because this is about having your friends aligning with helping you find truth. This is about having your friends aligning with helping you find true faith and supporting what's good for others, right? Look, if you want to come to this country as an immigrant and you want to do it the right way and you want to bring your children and your family, we not only need to adjust that process, we want you here. We do, because this country is about the working person. The sad part is that narrative has been so perverted. And I'd love to say it's by one party. It's by both parties, because you've got people on both sides of the aisle who will lie and say things they're not supposed to say in order to get their way.
well,
But at the end of the day, they've got to do what's right for the kids, do what's right for other people, and love them, will the good of other for the sake of other. Caleb?
we need people here who want to be here, who want to live the American dream.
And
who
wanna
wanna-
contribute.
They want to contribute. They want to further the American dream. And if you think for one moment that our government doesn't know that children are being smuggled across our own borders and sold into the sex slave in the United States,
Sex slavery, farm slavery,
this
all of it.
happens. This happens in every country in the world, and every government turns a blind eye.
We will not turn a blind eye on Implicit Bias Radio. Why? Because we believe in miracles. And we're going to talk about a miracle in the final segment of this week's show. We're going to talk to Father Glaude. We're going to walk through this and what this looks like and let you maybe come up with the best explanation you have as we bring you more of Implicit Bias Radio and fantastic weekly whiskeys. Final segment of this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. We are having more fun than you should be allowed to have on a podcast, radio show, social media, whatever. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. We've got some great people here in the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast there for the uninitiated at the bar. What, Kenny? You're laughing like you broke wind and it was silent but deadly. That's all I'm going to say.
I know you're going to go into it, but the name January is named after the Roman god Janus.
Janus, which if
Janus,
you remember,
it's Janus.
which if you remember, Janus was a criminal in a James Bond movie.
Who is the god of beginnings, endings, and transitions.
Oh, we're not even going there. That's Kenny Michael. He is Big Whiskey. We've got Father Taj Glaude, who's keeping his Catholic this segment, right next to him at the bar. The Rustic Renegade is back with us. We're so thrilled to have him back. And as I said, I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. Walker Griffon is not with us this week. He's actually on vacation, a well-deserved vacation for him.
Quick question: do you think he wears shorts on vacation, or does he put on pants? Like,
Oh, I'm sure he wears shorts.
I mean, we all go on vacation, wear shorts.
No, I go on. You don't want to know what I wear on vacation, or don't wear on
But it's got
vacation.
flags and stripes and stars.
I've seen the Speedo pics.
I'll just be honest. Even when I'm on vacation, I wear jeans. I don't wear shorts.
That works, right?
You
So-
mean you're not tan under that?
Okay, have I been with you all this time? And
Yeah.
I have
Okay.
a permanent tan. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So this story is one that I find fascinating. And it's something that I truly believe that everyone should walk down in their faith. And here's why. Because there are a lot of miracles out there that cannot be explained. There are people like St. Padre Pio who lived with stigmata, which are the wounds of Christ. And they can't be explained. They couldn't be healed by doctors. Nothing could be done. There are things like Our Lady of Las Lajas, which is out of Colombia, where a child and a mother went into a cave and they found a painting of the Virgin Mary in the cave. And literally, as the mother prayed for a sick child, the child came back from the dead, and they drilled into the wall of the cave, and the painting is like 4 feet deep or more. And then you've got St. Januarius, if I pronounce that correctly,
Yes,
St. Januarius,
Januarius, yes.
where they have artifacts from this saint. And one of the artifacts is a small container of his blood that 3 times a year moves from being coagulated and solid to being fluid and then goes back. Sometimes it is instantaneous. Sometimes it takes hours or sometimes days, but it cycles at something that we simply cannot scientifically explain. Father, my first question to you was, is this true?
Actually, believe it or not, it's one of these believe it or not things, but
Oh, no, I believe it.
as do I. It is true. Just a little backstory about St. Januarius. He was born in Naples in the year 272 AD. He became Bishop of Benevento, which is a diocese in Italy adjacent to Naples,
Okay.
and he's actually the patron saint of Naples.
And for those who don't know, in that time, Italy was not one country as it is today. It was a bunch of small, separate states that eventually came together to form Italy. So when he was patron saint of that particular area, it was like its own little country, correct?
Even more, even to add to that, even back then, Rome was an empire that took up most of the world, and
Fair. So it was all part of just Rome.
right. And during Januarius' time, it was a time of what was called the Great Persecution that happened between the years 303 and 313 AD. And while he was on a pastoral visit, he was arrested with some companions of his under the Emperor Diocletian. And
And Christianity at that time was illegal.
right. And it was heavily persecuted back then. And under the emperor, by order of the Emperor Diocletian, he was sentenced to death, he and his companions. And they put him in the arena to be eaten alive, but the animals did not attack him or his companions. So when that didn't work, they were all beheaded. And a woman by the name of Eusebia was able to obtain some of his blood and preserve it. And it was eventually transferred to the basilica, I think it's St. Clare Basilica, if I'm not mistaken, in Naples, where it is today.
And we are approaching one of those 3 dates a year where his solid blood turns to liquid, which is
Yes.
what, September 9th, his feast day?
September 19th.
19th, not the
is
9th, his 19th.
His feast day. And it also, there were other two other days where it liquefies. Is the Saturday before the first Sunday of May,
Okay.
which was the very day his relics were these very relics, his blood, was transferred to the Basilica in Naples. And the other one is December 16th, where they prayed, where the people prayed for, in Naples prayed for his intercession when Mount Vesuvius, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. It was the eruption of
erupt-
Vesuvius in Pompeii.
when it erupted in 1631.
Way before, or actually way after
Exactly.
his death, right?
Right. And so these are three days where his blood.
So this is the question I have for everybody here in the Mr. Lester's Top Secret podcast layer, and it's this. There are undeniable miracles that happen connected to people who absolutely believe that Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior, right? That's just the truth. Even down to there have been miracles with regards to Eucharist that were blessed in Catholic churches where they've fallen on the floor, they've picked them up, they've sent them because all of a sudden they started turning red, and they sent them to universities, and they went, these are heart cells. And these are not heart cells that died years ago. These are living heart cells. At what point do we step back and say, I don't matter? At what point do we step back and say, I am minuscule in this universe? At what point do we say, I have to bow down and understand that there is God greater than I in this world? Caleb, I'll let you start, then we'll go to Kenny because I see him too.
And I think once, your walk with Christ, once you draw closer to Christ, you realize that there's so much that we can't explain, and we try to comprehend things in our human mentality. And when I got to the book of, I'm reading Philippians now. When I start reading Philippians, you realize that like the universe doesn't revolve around you. A Christian's universe revolves around our God, and that we must humble ourselves to him. And it's just astounding when you see the things that don't make sense in our Christian religions that we glass over and ignore as just the strange and the odd, because there is so much to it. And our God is an amazing God who does things beyond the comprehension of mortal man, myself included.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I started late in life, relatively faith-wise. I didn't grow up in a church of any kind. I would kind of go to the Catholic Church when I was a kid because some of my friends went, but I mean, most of the time we were juking around and goofing off and all that. But, get into high school, I actually took a trip with some friends to Sterrett, Alabama. And, you hear back in the day, you hear the stories about Medjugorje and some of the, miracles that happened there. And there was something connected to Sterrett, Alabama, where there was a nun from Medjugorje that was taking care of a kid there and all that. So it kind of became sort of a pilgrimage for a lot of Catholics back then to Sterrett, Alabama. Well, I went because my girlfriend was going, and I was like, oh, I get to go spend some time with my girlfriend, whatever. But while I was there, we did the Stations of the Cross. And at the time of the day, the sun was super bright. And we were doing the Stations of the Cross, and we came over this hill, and it was me. It wasn't just me. It was me and several other people. And we came over this hill, and the sun was bright right in front of us. And all of us stopped and just stared right at the sun. No damage to the eyes, no nothing. And when we were finished, everybody was talking about that's the miracle of the sun. And literally, it felt like an hour, but it was probably 3 minutes. But we literally stared at the sun.
From Our Lady of Fatima.
All eyes open, everything. And from that point forward, I was like, okay, damn.
When it's the unexplainable moments that we all have when you have an intimate personal relationship with your God.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned some of the Eucharistic miracles, if I may, there was one that happened in Lanciano.
Yep.
And I've been there. I was actually able to celebrate Mass there. But also, one of the biggest things that I take away from that was the fact that the chalice that contained the precious blood became actual blood. Not only actual blood, but the rarest blood
type on the planet. Yep.
Which is also found on the Holy Shroud of Turin. It is for me as a priest, it's proof to us that things in this world don't happen by chance. There is a God who is in control of everything, and he proves his presence to us. But we have to be able to see it, not with our eyes, but with our ears, but
with our hearts.
With our hearts. That's where our faith is.
And Father, I apologize that I have to close this out because this is a great conversation If you want more, find us on our socials, find us wherever you get podcasts, get the bonus content because we're going to go into this in bonus content. This is what Implicit Bias Radio is all about. We hope that you support us. We hope that you love what we do. And we hope that we are part of your implicit bias. We'll see you in 7. Cheers until next week.